Hello everyone and welcome back to Code with Lisa channel and to our Java tutorial series. In this lesson we are going to talk about arrays and delve into this topic in detail. So let's get started. In order to understand how arrays work, I will start by drawing an example of what it might look like. So what is actually an array? An array is a group of like-type variables that are referred to by a common name. Arrays of any type can be created and may have one or more dimensions. A specific element in array is accessed by its index. Arrays offer a convenient means of grouping related information. Additionally, arrays are reference data types, which we talked about in the previous lesson. I have drawn a shelf with compartments. In an array, you can store multiple values just like on a shelf. And I have numbered the compartments starting from 0 for a reason. Remember that in arrays, counting starts from 0, not 1. We will store our data in it, for example, numbers. You can define the size and data type yourself, but the type can only be 1. If you create an array of int, you cannot put a string or a character in it. Now let's look at arrays in practice. To declare an array, you need to start by writing the data type of the array you want to create. Then add square brackets to indicate an array and give it a name. Let's call it cabinet. Also, we have declared the array. Memory has not yet been allocated for it. To allocate memory, you need to use the new keyword. After that, specify the type again and the brackets. In the brackets, specify the size of the array. For example, I will specify 5. Now we can combine this into a single line. Let's put values into our array. Since this is an int array, I will add integer values. To access an array element, write its name, then in square brackets the index and the value you want to assign. Remember, indexing starts at 0, so the first value will have an index of 0. This way we can fill all 5 compartments. The maximum index will be 4, of course. However, writing it this way, it's not very convenient because it takes a lot of code. Instead, you can fit it all on one line. Instead of using new, after the equal sign, use curly braces and leave the values separated by commas. Now let's print the values to see them. The thing is, if you just specify the name of the array, it will print the memory address of the array, something like this. This happens because an array is a reference data type. To access a specific value, we need to specify the index of the element in square brackets. In this case, we can see our value. For example, to get the number 6 from the shelf, we need to access index 3 of the array in our example. If you go out of bounds and try to print a non-existent element, the compiler will allow it, but you will see an error at runtime. So be careful to only access existing elements. Through the same square brackets, you can also change the value in the array. To do this, simply access the desired element again and assign the new value. However, once again, don't try to access a non-existent element, as you will encounter a runtime error. Let's now see if our first element has indeed changed by printing it to the screen. Okay, as you can see, the value has changed. You can also determine the size of the array. Let's store it in a variable named size. An interesting feature of reference data types is that we can use dot notation to call methods and access various fields. We will discuss this more specifically in object-oriented programming. For now, I will simply get the length or size of the array using length. Let's see the result in the console. Naturally, I get 5. Because earlier I allocated space for 5 elements. Let's consider one last example of using arrays for today. To do this, I will clear all this code and declare a char array. What data type does this resemble? You can pause and try to answer. It's similar to string, of course. String is essentially an array of characters, but of course using a char array can be complex, which is why we have the familiar string type. By the way, if you allocate memory for an array but don't put anything into it, you will see the garbage values. As it turned out for me, I forgot to include the letter O here. So let's correct the mistake and see the result. And that was all for today. I hope that my lesson was helpful to you. See you soon. Bye bye.